Welcome to the upstreamlife.com. I'm Vishal Krishna, the founder and editor. I've got with me Gagandeep, the founder of Minus Zero, right? And why Minus Zero?
I think that reflects our ideology of going against the popular narrative to build something that never existed.
It's actually true because it's not 0 to 1, it is minus 1 to 0,
Yeah.
right? It's true. And by the way, we're talking about ADAS Plus, we're talking about automotive in terms of autonomous vehicles.
Yes.
And autonomous vehicles, believe me, it is the future, man. Yes, cows, monkeys can be around, but their technology has ensured that we can drive safely.
Yes.
With autonomous vehicles. They are here and these guys are building them
Yes.
with the software that they provide.
Yep.
Correct? Is that what
Yes.
we're going to talk about? Is there anything more?
Yes, I think we'll be talking about a lot of stuff from what's the new breakthroughs that we're doing in research to how the market is going to adopt this and all what kind of talent right now really it takes to build this kind of technology. I think it will be an exciting conversation.
Enjoy the podcast. Thank you, guys. Hey, Gagan, how are you?
All good, all good. How about you?
I'm very good. Thank you for coming to my humble studio. And I've been a fan of self-driving cars and self-driving technology. I'm a fan of sci-fi, but this is reality today.
Yes.
You know, Minus Zero. How did that happen? And tell us a little bit about it. And the future is about self-driving, but a lot of Indians will say, hey, there are cows and monkeys. How will this be real in India? But we'll get to that. Tell me about Minus Zero.
So yeah, Minus Zero started in 2021. We were still undergrads. I was in second year of my engineering school. Always I had my journey into AI started way early back in my career. So was always that playing around with maths and all those parts. But I was more into research, right? But I always felt that missing. Okay, whatever we are doing or eventually we're gonna do, what is gonna be that impact? Are we really solving some problem that is gonna impact the mankind, right? So that was a point when AI was getting a rise, and you also saw what are the problems of AI coming. But yeah, it was very niche thing, right? Okay, AI for this, AI for that, which were very small problems, but nothing that really can change the course of humanity or really can, let's say when they call making India a technology superpower. What are those technologies that can be there? So I think we were always looking for, we had that technological prowess. What is the right product that we can really crack with that breakthroughs in AI? And that's when AV came. This industry had its own cycle, right? You had some trillion-dollar giants trying to attempt this, and they have dubbed this one of the toughest problems AI has encountered till date. And that is where we knew that our IP play can really create an advantage.
You had an IP play already?
Yes, we call this new paradigm, right? You already have, I think, 2021, no one new foundation models, and we were already there. Okay, eventually foundation model will come. There will be language models, there will be vision models, and now there will be next generation, what we call this AI foundation models that can make decision making.
Yes.
And that was what we proposed with this nature inspired AI. That was this what we call bio inspired AI to approach decision making. Because who are the best decision makers? Humans or you say natural species. And autonomous driving is one of the critical examples of making safe decisions on the go. So
that's how the company was born.
That's when we started in 2021. But when we started, we realized, we were not even just building the technology, we also had to take the onus of maturing the entire ecosystem. Why would anybody believe two undergrads trying to tackle, problem of a generation? So yeah, did pretty cool demos, a lot of super cool demos, grab a lot of eyeballs, raise funds. So it's like we have say, normally companies have 0 to 1 journey and 1 to 100. We had our -1 to 0 journey. Now we are doing 0 to 1. And then there will be 1 to 100. That's way with deep tech. So yeah.
No, this is a great introduction. Now I'm getting into this. I've been a fan of automotive too. Nobody would have given an Indian company a chance to build something like this, right? It's with the kinds of large companies like Bosch and Continental have large technical centers, and they're trying to do it from India for the world. But you're like saying that I can build an agnostic platform for the entire world in ADAS and self-drive, right? So the guts to do that, how did that come? Is it with you and your partner saying that, look, what was the opportunity? What was the moat at that time?
Right. See, before saying that, I'll tell a little bit, when you said it was not just with us also, like as an India, even for Bosch and Conti, see in India, there were, engineering centers.
Yes.
The decision making was still in the Germany, still in US and all, that's where the narrative was being driven by. So this was, everybody faced that. The decision making was never in India. So that was the real challenge. We had the same problem. It took us, I think, 2 years to change that narrative with all that we achieved. But I think what we really cracked an advantage on was at that time, two paths, which I think me and my co-founder shared. For me, it was very niche IP into AI. Why? Even after 10 years, AV has been an unsolved problem, right? There was this self-driving was always an year away. But then after a year, you never had fully self-driving. What was really that problem? It was always we never had the AI that was ready enough to tackle a problem like autonomous driving. You had a good AI to tackle the problem of chatbots just as recently 2021.
Yes.
And this is even leaps ahead, right? That was the first part. And second, you realize that this is something which requires an entire ecosystem to sync together. You cannot say, okay, I'll just, with like a crazy guy, I'll do self-driving, right? You need to be working with all these players. See, we know how to develop that intelligence inside. But, to build a car, there has to be very solid engineering there, from silicon to sensors, right? AI is one very core part which binds everything together. So that's where, if you try to do 10 things together, you will not even do one thing good. Like that's where you see, right? The way it happened with OpenAI, right? Okay, they build something very foundational and then companies build on top of it. So yeah, that was our thesis. I think doing one thing and making sure you do it so well that you capture the biggest share of that instead of trying to do everything. Yeah.
This is interesting. On that note itself, we are actually talking about you said paradigm shift.
Yes.
The paradigm shifts are the old automotive world has to keep in pace with AI.
Yes.
Right? You see software or product companies pitching in with the AI thing because they understand it very well and they know the car is a device.
Yes.
Right? Between these two is where people like you can actually come in and make sense in business and also the technology. You want to talk about these changes that are happening and at what intersection will you play?
Right. So I think if you really see the trend, I think I'll give you a very good analogy, right? Why are iPhone cameras better than, let's say, any other? They always say, right, is that software players. So you saw the transition. Before that, it was always like you need lenses and all that part. And then you saw the transition from hardware-defined features. This industry transit to the software-defined layers, right? Because see, consumer tech is something that gets affected most quickly. So you have this consumer grade, industrial grade, automotive grade, and then you go military grade, right? So that's how things happen. Now, industrial also went in that sense. Now it wasn't automotive. Multiple things happened, right? Previously, if you see, it was always, IC and all, they were like too many moving parts. Now, already, that was, okay, car has to run, car has to have mileage, car has to have that efficiency. Yes, that happened for, let's say, 50, 100 years. Now people said, okay, car needs to be luxury also. It needs to give more than just driving around, what it can give. So suddenly, safety started becoming importance, user experience, right now you buy a car which can give you more comfort, which can give you more user experience. And a lot of stuff you couldn't just introduce by adding more and more hardware because see, software is easy to ship. You can change it, you can tweak it, you can add customization. So that transition happened. And that is where, suddenly new players emerged. They started with you had driver monitoring systems, you had ADAS, you had these connected vehicles, very simple. Can you unlock your car from your mobile phone, right? Now, okay, that came. Let's introduce software to the vehicle, but a very primitive setting. Now, next thing happened, okay, how do we build intelligence, right? Because AI is affecting everything. Why not this also, right? Why a car cannot be, something that you can always assist you. You can ask your car what to do. Car can help you. You are tired. Why cannot a car drive for you? We do not talk about removing the driver and all. Even as simple as you are coming home from work, you are tired. It's as simple as you want to drive from, you attend a meeting somewhere, let's say Hyderabad, you flew to Bangalore. Now it's 1 hour drive. You're tired. Why you have to drive? Why you cannot relax? So that was a transition that is happening, and people started realizing that autonomous driving or self-driving was not just a super cool sci-fi technology. It was there to give time back to us, to make us more happy, right? So that our vehicles can be safe, we can feel more comfortable. Same way, right? You saw that. I think draw the same analogy. First, people bought things for utility, then people buy things for experience, and then people buy things for luxury. You saw that with phone. iPhone market is on peak high in India right now. Car also happened that way, right? There was a utility car, that 10 lakh below segment, and there were luxury cars. Now you see the transition, that mini SUV and all that segment, people are buying that. People are looking for, okay, you might have your father. Did your father really talk about, okay, how many airbags my car has? No.
Yeah.
Now you actually focus on that, okay, which car gives me most safety? Now people are saying, okay, which has the most better user experience?
That's so true.
So that new segment that was being created, that is where, if in that transition, AI had to be there. And, all the things that industry was trying to do, I think that time it was way far ahead of its time. Now it was the right time to introduce that.
This is where your technology comes in, right? Yes. Anybody wanting to build the feature of ADAS,
yes,
AI-driven, self-driving, they can, integrate into their
yes,
software and use it, right?
Exactly. So we say it's autonomy beyond ADAS.
Okay.
So you already saw ADAS features, right? In India, ADAS was introduced in 2021, and suddenly people have gone crazy. Now you want more features, right? You want not ADAS, you want a co-pilot.
Yes.
Okay, when you wanted to drive, it can drive end to end. So that is where we came, autonomy beyond ADAS. And we are like what Android is to smartphones, we are that to the vehicle.
So you can become a marketplace of sorts also in a way, where a lot of people can add features in it if
yes,
you open it up.
On other parts. That is actually a part, right? While we are building that intelligence inside, let's say automakers can create their own user experiences, own interfaces, own DMS. So it's like that's why we say what we are delivering is an AI platform that enables autonomy, and then also integrates with all the other software defined features which, let's say, other companies are already building.
This is interesting. Then you see any large software company out there and a chip maker can get together. I'm thinking NVIDIA, Amazon, for example, and they can build a car today. And the car is the car just becomes a shell, which is driven by software. And you can have a partner to build a shell, and there are people like you who are giving them that autonomous software. Yes. It can happen, right?
That's actually happening, right? Previously, if you see, there was, a lot of parts and all. Now there are 3 core components, right? You want a person who builds the compute, the sensors.
Yeah, that's the software part.
Then someone builds entire automotive.
Yes.
And someone makes sure how do you give it intelligence, right? So like I said, NVIDIA's, Qualcomm's are our partners, automaker are our partners. We do not want to even never take their place. We want to come at that intersection where we can bind all these things together.
Absolutely, that's a good sell. In one level, we're also talking about automotive companies trying to reinvent themselves in a way, and that's where you can help them also. Yes. Right? That's great. So my thought process now is going towards your business model. What are some of the business lines? Is it a model where you say, okay, you subscribe and then let the partners build on top of it? You've given a core technology. And what is this core technology? I'm glad you had earlier told me that we are not just an LLM business. We are much more, you said nature-inspired AI. We'll talk about all this. For that, you have to differentiate between current LLM models and why it does not apply to self-driving and ADAS, right? And from there on, we'll move to how they're reinventing themselves with you.
So I think I'll touch all the 2 parts. First, the business, like you said. We are like in tier 1, right? The way, let's say, a company like Bosch provides electric motors, we provide that intelligence inside, right? You can say, okay, Intel inside is a good way to say, or Android inside is a good way to say. So we are like a tier 1 to automaker. The way it happened with all, we partner with an automaker for a one model. We are like that small part, and we get it like for each vehicle sold, we have this small part of the entire what OEM earns, right? So, and here the benefit is it's always, for one vehicle when you are in, as long as that vehicle sells, you're already inside that, right? Same way, like, again, I draw analogy again back to smartphones, right? It's a Snapdragon chipset that's inside your mobile phone, right? There is an Android inside your mobile phone. Now, UIs can be different. Let them
So you are an operating system, would you
operating system? AI operating system, we call it, not a traditional one, because AI is the core IP.
So you charge them per license, or how does that work?
Per vehicle, right? It's like a AI platform. And now what happens is we are purely a software player, right? We partner with silicon companies and sensor companies to make sure our software is compatible with them, right? Now there's a compute, there are sensors, and there is our software that goes together, highly optimized. And this kit goes to automakers as an, AI platform that enables autonomy. Now we help them integrate with their vehicles, end to end. And then even same way consumers buy, right? So the way any automotive supply chain works. So we are like a tier 1, and all these other companies tend to be a tier 2 or partners that they kind.
Okay, that's the business model.
Yes,
that's as easy as that. Now the LLM models that I was telling you about, why it doesn't apply to automotive as yet, but can get there. But but you could say it in your language, like you say, nature-inspired AI.
Right. See, I think to understand that, let's see how AI transitioned. So, this pre-LLM, you had this very primitive AI, right? Okay, it could do, cat detection, all these, right? Even when you say that chatbots were there, they were not really fluid enough. Like, you can always say, were they really intelligent? No. Now, the first transition happened, which showed people what truly an AI could do. So, see, LLM movement happened in industry very late. This 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
The core technology were introduced in 2017-18. That paper, the research paper that made this possible. And that was a time, because see, we all come from a research background. So, we knew this was coming at that point of time. Now, but LM showed people what truly an intelligent system can be. So it can generate very good text, it can generate videos and all,
You can just prompt
GPT
it
all
and it
that
has to
stuff,
give you
right?
great answers, yes.
But at the same time, one thing also became evident. Yes, AI can do some very creative stuff. AI is good for creativity as an assistant.
Yes.
But still, it was not really intelligent enough. It can make very silly mistakes. It can hallucinate. I'll give you a very example. You have used Midjourney, right? A lot of people use. You ask it to generate a photo of a man. You will see it can mistake that photo will have only 3 fingers. It couldn't really reason. So there were these hallucinations, that's where this regulations have started coming, right? What if AI generates a fake output, which is not really true?
Yeah.
But it is so fluent enough that as a consumer, you will not know it's true.
Yes.
Right. Now, since that is just generating text, nothing is really major will happen apart from, some narrative changing and all.
But in this case,
it's essentially you cannot hallucinate in making decision because you have to make
there's a life
decision
dependent on you.
Agreed. So that is where you had to even do something more than LLMs to make sure the AIs can reason enough to make safe decisions. You cannot just, it's not like a generating some creative text. You are giving it,
proper
actually your control, right?
Yes.
Okay, why I have to do this? Why shouldn't I not take, Because when you drive safely, you are not just following rules. You're also saying, okay, someone in front of me might not follow rules and I need to be conscious enough to react safely in that scenario. That's what makes a human a very safe driver, right? So that was what we proposed, and right now I think all the research equipment around the world have been focusing on this. How do you make LLMs able to do, AI do reasoning? Now the next thing after LLM is gonna come, what you call world models. And a lot of companies are building world models with different approach for different applications, which is a research, and that's why we told IP. Now to build world models, which is, they say, can a model really understand how the world behaves? That, okay, if there is a cat, suddenly can it understand it can come on the road suddenly, so I need to be conscious of the fact. Because it's not about detecting the cat. You also have to predict how they are going to behave. Can you understand the physics of the world? That is what they call world model, which understand the world in its true sense, a next-gen foundation.
And from there on, integrate the LiDARs and every other sensor.
Any other sensor, right? Yes. So that changes, obviously, when you're
So that becomes a commodity.
Yes. Like foundational model, you can do it for different kind of, English language, this language. Now they say, okay, let's build foundational model for, decision making. For us, we are focusing on driving. Now, we propose this new IP to build that what we call nature-inspired AI. How you can take inspiration from human brain, the way a human brain makes decision, and induce that into a foundational model. And that is what we call this nature-inspired AI, which is the IP that allowed us to do all things that we have been able to do. We have done one of the finest demos of AVs. People never thought in India you will even see AVs. I think when Chris Gopalakrishnan, co-founder of Infosys, took the first AV ride when we had this Z-Pod, we showcased Z-Pod on June 4 last year. He used a statement after having this ride that, okay, this is a small ride for me, but a giant leap for India.
Yeah, it's a giant leap for India. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking about autonomous vehicles and not EVs.
Yes.
Because all of us are used to the word EV, and he's talking about autonomous vehicles. And I'm sure I remember reading about that. And I felt very proud because just 5 years ago, I was in Germany on one of those pods. And they had not yet launched them in the market, but the similar looking vehicle. And I thought that's so cool for humanity if it happens, right? And now this is in India through you, which is great. So sticking to the world model. So world model is the way forward.
Yes.
For that, you need a new engineering team and everything.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, now world model, we need talent.
Yes.
And is that talent here? Or you have to train?
I think we do not have to train. See, my co-founder uses this line a lot. Indians have been very far ahead in AI, but India has been not. The reason being, Indians are always very sharp. I'll tell you, LMs are the big thing right now. the foundational tech that made LLM possible, it was happened in Google Brain in US. That first author of that paper was an Indian, Dr. Vaswani.
Okay, I didn't
He
know
could have
that.
stayed in India.
Yes.
We had a lot of brain drain that happened in past 5 years. Just
I think in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, all the way up till 10, there was too much brain drain.
even till 17, 18.
Do you think so?
I tell you,
Your colleagues also, your
I would have
friends?
gone outside. If COVID hadn't happened, I had admits from one of the finest research universities across the world in UK. It just COVID happened and didn't really make sense. I just happened to be stayed in India, and I couldn't find an opportunity here. So I thought, why not build one?
Okay.
And if suddenly those things hadn't happened the way they had, I would have gone outside. And I don't know how I would have looked back to moving back at least for next 20 years. Because once you go there, that's how it has been happening, right?
So the talent you're saying is now staying back and is available.
Yes, I think we happen to be at the right place at the right time, right? Think from a geopolitical angle. US economy is not really in a good state right now. China is playing a lot of leverage on them, and now India plus 2 strategy is coming, right? Now, and we also suddenly have become a very good growing economy. Soft power of India increased. India, see, we missed the semicon boom, nuclear boom we were a little late. Now AI is one of those technology which can change geopolitics, which will be the next superpower. Now India wanted to take a strong stance on this. Now that's why India hosted GPAI and all this. How do you make sure India has a good power in that? So government took a very strong stance, and this for us it was a very important part to play this to our advantage. Now that is something we have been focusing on a lot today, making sure the new talent that is coming, that's super smart talent, right? They are publishing works of really high quality. And I'll tell you, I've taken a lot of interviews in recent times, and more than 80% of the people have got admits from universities outside, and they're going outside. And what it really threatens us that, okay, if we let them go outside, we have lost a major generational talent from India. So now we have been focusing a lot and making them stay back, giving them that opportunity.
The funding has helped, hasn't
Yes.
it? Yes, to retain
and
many of them.
also, we are getting a lot of people back in India who have been outside for long, and now we are getting them back in India to build that kind of research-friendly AI community in India. For us also, and also for new players like ourselves to emerge, because
Gagan, set this in context. The last 10 years, you were studying back 10 years ago, even research, right? I want you to tell them that, look, the funding has changed India's game towards saying a lot of the talent can stay, but a lot more has to happen, correct, for them to stay back. Can you give us those reasons? Why will they stay back? Is it the money, or is it also quality of the jobs?
So, multiple things, right? I think initially India was, go in 1990 to 2000, right? It was always IT. Now, if you want to work on more product, you never had much opportunities in India, So always having talent wanted to do something more, but the opportunity was always one step back.
Services.
Right. Now then, startup boom happened, and economy got liberalized, all these things happened, a lot of foreign companies started setting up here. So you were able to get, roles in product-based companies. Software engineering came on a very high boom. But at that time, if you wanted to work in deep tech, let's say in space tech, and how many mechanical engineer jobs were there, right, in India? Even in research, that was not there, right? And now, initially, around 2000, software engineering talent used to go. Then around 2010 to 2017, research talent used to go. Now in 2017, after 2017, two things happened. In India, deep tech boom started happening, right? You saw space tech, you saw EV, you saw, drones, and they are, need very heavy engineering, and they are very multidisciplinary fields. Now, and they were incentivized by the government a lot. So that allowed people in these fields to, take initiative in this. And also the new talent, they were not like, only I'll do CS because I want to be software engineer. They had other avenues to explore. And now you associate with them, even geopolitics helped. Like India's software are getting increased. People realize, US economy is not really sustainable. Healthcare is not affordable. That's why a lot of foreigners come to India to get their, let's say, get their dentures fixed.
Yes.
Because simple as dental healthcare is very costly. And with this startup boom and all, people realize, you are not getting peanuts for what you can do. What you are able to do, you are actually being paid with the proper balance. So they said, okay, it is a better quality of living is here. We are more close to our culture. At the same time, we are getting that opportunity. Why not do that in India? That is what allowed more and more startups to emerge. More opportunities got created, and with the right kind of incentives around. And right now, I'll tell you the trend. People are looking to come back to India. There was this,
Those
lot
would be
of
great
people.
hires for you, wouldn't
Yes, because people who have been outside for 10 years, 15 years, they just had their kids. And they say, India has a very strong stance. You go outside, you feel proud to be Indian today. They do not think of you like as a country which is very cheap and all. We have done a
Backward.
lot of quality work, right? Now they say, there was a guy I was talking to, he said, I just had a kid. Now I want to move back to India because I want him to grow in the culture that I grew up. And now there are opportunities. There is better lifestyle. I can be more close. See, you feel happy in India. That's always there. It was never people didn't like to be here. They went out for opportunities.
I think the opportunity, last 10 years, a lot has changed.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you said the narratives like space tech, deep tech have become more common in our country now. And I only hope you're a deep tech company for me.
Yes.
And obviously, and you made a very nice caveat that you're not an LLM company, you're a world model company, which basically is beyond text and just video. It's a lot more complicated in the automotive world.
A lot of research in that.
Absolutely. And by the way, check out his paper, which is called Nature Inspired AI, and it's available on the website.
Yes.
And it's a very nice 3 or 4 pager that you've written. And it tells you about the complexity of the models. I want to ask you a few questions on those, if I can. Is that okay?
Sure.
Let's start off, because it sets the context for why the vehicle is very important when it makes decisions. And you're calling it the actor, right? That's the one that makes all the decisions. So what is the broken loop, the current challenges of self-driving?
All right. See, one thing that you understand is, there are a lot of these hardware-centric features, okay? You need, let's say, cameras to sense something. Then you have this to understand what speed you are going at. You need to take feedback from a lot of those stuff. So, the loop is very complicated, right? But as a human, when you are able to make decisions, you can see from your eye.
Yes.
And even you take feedback back from there, right? You can continually learn, even when you're driving, you're improving yourself over and over without someone telling you what to do, right? And that is where you have to create a way. See, to make something better, you have to make this. That's why it was an AI problem. How it starts learning on the go. And to make it learn on the go, you have to create this entire framework in that way. So that is what we propose with the open loop, that, okay, when you're taking a decision, you're not able to learn back.
Correct.
So that is what we proposed. How you make sure, and that's where world models came into the picture. How you can learn by observing, by feedback, and not just, okay, give me more and more data, we'll train the model, and then let's see.
That's not good for automotive, because
See,
that's going to say that like you said, it'll see the moon and think it's a traffic light, right? I mean, seriously, during an eclipse, perhaps.
I'll just add here. Tell me, how did you become a better driver?
Practice.
It was not like,
Practice.
See, you learned driving only for that 10 hours of curriculum in a driving school. But that was not where learning. It started as a baby when you understood, okay, you do not know what a car is, but you knew how you navigate the threat, how you do not collide.
Correct.
And then over time, someone told you, okay, this is what you were not colliding with. This is actually let's say, ball. This is a car, right? And then you remember, you used to sit beside your dad in your car and you used to observe, okay, he's turning a vehicle. Why is he turning a vehicle? So you learn a lot from that observation. And then, read books, okay, this is a clutch, this is an accelerator, right? So there was a lot of knowledge in you.
Is this what's called unbiased data?
You can say, right? So basically,
because in automotive, you talk about unbiased data.
Right. So here it means is, you do not teach driving by showing it only the driving data. That is not enough, because driving is not about just driving a car. It's all those learnings that happened when you were a baby and all. Okay. So that is where, if you just keep on giving driving data, see, what we said is, it's impossible to have enough data that can encapsulate all the scenarios that you can encounter on road. You saw training, you gave images of an auto rickshaw to an AI model, let's say. Now that auto rickshaw has a poster pasted on it. Now, in an image, that is two different things, right? Now, an auto rickshaw, suddenly, there is something different color on top of it. So the scenarios variety keeps on increasing. It's like even billions of kilometers of data will not be enough. Something will still be missing. And that was if someday the vehicle encounters that, the decision will fail. So what we say is, how do you make sure you are able to learn all the generalized things before learning the driving? The way as a human learn, right? You understand what are the rules. You understand, okay, how should I perceive the threat? Even if something new comes in front of you, you will not go and collide into that. You will understand, see, I do not know what this thing is called. I do not know. It's not a car. It's something different, but okay, it has some attributes. It has a size. It has some depth. So that makes you, even if some unseen things comes in front of you, you do not just make a faulty decision. So that is what we propose with nature inspired AI. When we said it's world models and all, you're not teaching it to drive. Before teaching it to drive, it has to understand a lot of different stuff. That is, we understood that in our.
Would you call this
early years.
anthropology in a way? Understanding human behavior?
I think these are different analogies, tangents we can always take around. But yes, because that is one part of it. Because when you have to make decisions, you have to understand, okay, there is a guy in front of me, he can do something, and I need to make sure, okay, what he's going to do what he's going to do, so that I can make a decision accordingly. Like, very simple. Just because someone in front of you doesn't give an indicator, you can understand, okay, if it's moving to the right, he might turn right, so I'll be a little conscious. Now,
which we all know in India can happen.
Can happen. Because you cannot assume everybody will follow rules that they will give indicator. You have to be conscious.
That's why we have a loud horn, right?
Yes.
Okay. Size, compute data. You say the compute required for this is enormous,
Yes.
but the objective is for automakers out there is to reduce the compute power, use less energy, but compute more.
Yes. So, I think you can already see this with LLMs, right? For LLMs to work, right, what happens is, see, LLMs are master pattern matching system. The biggest advantage of LLMs are they were able to scout through lots of data, billions and terabytes of data, and then able to, predict some patterns. Now, what happens is, to make the models better, you need more and more data. Now, to make sure the model is, let's say, big enough to learn all that, you will increase the size of the model. Just saw that, we see, okay, GPT is this much parameters, this billion parameters, Llama is this. So it was a rat race. Bigger model. Now Gemini came, much bigger model. But that comes as a cost, right? To make a bigger model, you need a lot of compute for training and even for inference, right? That's why NVIDIA is winning this game. Because the GPUs that you require for doing things at that scale, they are like, which can, you have
the
this
DGX,
800, right? And they require enormous power. You need supercomputers to train those models. Now, see, in data center, it's okay, still can be done, but that is coming at the cost of that energy. How much power we are consuming to train these models and even infer. You are asking ChatGPT one thing. We do not understand how much power it consumes. Now think in this way. When you have to work on a vehicle, you have to work in real time. You cannot wait a lot of time for processing. So that means bigger is the model.
Real time. It's very fast,
right? So bigger is the model, it will take more times to perform those computation. So one, that is not there. And second, you have limited power inside a vehicle. The car is not plugged to an AC outlet. So you have to take that intelligence and put it to a very small form factor. Again, compared to a brain. Your brain is a 20-watt system in a head. That's same way like a normal laptop or a phone. That's not a supercomputer. It's the way our learning happens. We are able to power pack that intelligence in a small carbon footprint. That's why LLMs cannot be put on a vehicle. They're very big to make them work in real-time knowledge. And driving is even a bigger problem than language. Right?
So the research is out there. I mean, in your case, do you see the power consumption coming down for the compute?
That is an IP problem. That is what we have been working on. Like I said, it's more about how the models are built. So power is directly relevant. See, what kind of model is, how much compute they need. And if they require less compute, they will consume less power. If they require more compute, they require. So it's like function of, again, the AI.
Yeah. Tell them how complex automotive is. The blockchain guys think it's complex using GPUs, right?
Yeah.
But automotive is even more complex.
Right. So think in this way, right? Right now, GPUs are a very scarce resource, right? Because right now, that is the talk of the town. Who is able to place orders for more number of GPUs? You go in Valley, that's the trend in, okay, I have this number of GPUs. And you have these lead times of literally, there was a time when there was a 52-week lead time. You place an order, you'll get a GPU after 52 weeks, for these data center ones.
Exactly 1 year.
Because there was one company which was able to control that, and suddenly with this boom, everybody wanted GPUs. Now, this we saw only for language. Now, in automotive, you are not just using language, vision, you are also understanding behavior, you are understanding physics, you are understanding motion. So, you are doing at that scale, but at the same time, you have to make sure you crunch it in a small, like, so you can train on big GPUs. To make it run, that is equivalent to, okay, I'll say, if I ask you have to run an LLM in your mobile phone, without link to cloud.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So the model has to be in the mobile phone.
Tough.
That is the kind of work we have been
really
doing,
tough,
right?
man. Yeah.
So that is where it's complex.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're going to be, in a way, you can also consult with a lot of the partners that you work with, right?
Yes.
That this is a large automotive company can work with you, for example.
Yes.
And so how can we reduce the form factor? How can we increase the compute from the cloud? And there's, and we haven't even gotten into security there, right?
You cannot go on a cloud. See, tell me in India how much time, do you get a consistent 5G?
No.
Suddenly, if the, let's say, connection breaks.
It has to be in the car itself, yes.
Suddenly, if the connection breaks, you are inside a tunnel, you don't have the link. So, it has to happen on the edge.
The car is the edge device.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. And you read my mind there. Thank you. So, okay, now, go check out that paper. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to get more technical than this, but it is a real opportunity for you engineers out there to work in a company like this, or even think of the future being built from India for the world like this. That's the beauty of it. Your market is global.
Yes.
I quickly want to pick your brains on how difficult has it been for a young company to partner with companies globally and sell together. Yes. And also going individually, that always say, oh, you're not a tier 1 vendor. You know, the ecosystem is so powerful. It's a mafia. It's a mafia. It's a 100-year-old mafia.
Yeah.
You know, they can set standards themselves. This is the reason why these software companies are now getting into car making, right, in a way. So where do you see your go-to-market come to fruition, and give us some early examples of early wins?
Right. See, I think it was when we started out, that was what you said, that was really the case. Okay. You already have these mammoths who have all the capital and all to do that. Why would you really want to do with a young startup? You know, they do not even know if the startup would survive. That's the first question anybody would ask. Because see, a car sells for 7 years. Car has a life cycle of 7 years. You have to survive also for 7 years, right? So that was a question that used to come, right? How would you build that? You are two people with a vision, with a dream, right? And very genuine question, whether it's investors, whether it's automakers and all. I think we had to spend a lot of time. It's like we had to do a lot of demos to prove that, okay, what we are saying is right. You know, a lot of work, giving them experience and okay, sit. Now you tell me, are you feeling safe and all, right? At the same time, you know, everything happening in the industry helped us. You know, you saw that foundation model trend, you know, and you saw that, okay, all these AV companies which follow this robotics approach went on a decline. The recent thing, Apple shut down its self-driving car division.
A lot of people are shutting down their divisions globally. I mean, that's...
and it was coming. You know, when we started, we told them, okay, just wait. All these mammoths which you think are a competitor, they will shut, because understand this. The way you build hardware, the way you build software, and the way you build AI, they are not linked. They are totally different things. AI is a very different research problem, right? And it requires different kind of agility and all, because industry was moving at a very fast pace. I think all these demos and all we did gave us that leverage. You know, I think that is why we said, right, we never had that 0 to 1 journey. We had our -1 to 0 journey, where we also had that onus of maturing that ecosystem from as long as how regulatory framework is going to evolve. And, you know, automakers are a little bit apprehensive, right? Because it's a safety critical thing. But I think we have had good news. By the way, this month itself, you'll be hearing something very exciting soon. We are soon announcing partnership with 2 of the largest automakers, one Indian, one global. One will be announced this month itself. So I think...
Yeah, I look forward to the news. So will it be in the autonomous side, or will it
beyond ADAS?
Beyond ADAS again, right? Again, safety?
Yes. So, you know, think of this like our first Gen 1 product that we're going to pull is what we call an AI co-pilot. So highway autopilot, basically. The moment you enter any highway, you can take your hands off and you can drive end to end without touching the steering wheel. So I'll give you an example. You can drive from, let's say,
Chandigarh. Let's take Chandigarh.
Chandigarh to, let's say, Chandigarh to Delhi. Amritsar to Delhi. That's around 8, 9, 10 hours drive. You can drive. As long as it's on highway, you don't have to touch the steering wheel. So now it's a benefit for, you know, when they have long haul.
The lorry guys. Let's say the lorry guys in an Indian context, it's trucking from an American context. It really helps them a lot.
Right. So that's the first Gen 1 product with which we are partnering with the automakers.
Congrats.
And
Congrats. You don't have to tell the names. Don't worry. I'm not going to
I'll not right now. I think I'll leave that.
Because I'll leave that to the
suspense.
announcement.
Yes. So, and I think that will be one of the very proactive moves in the Indian automotive space.
It's Indian, so
As
I'm
in
looking forward to that press conference for sure if
Right.
you do it. And the global one would be similar, trucking?
No. So I'm not saying what is trucking, what is
Okay.
passenger. There are two global automakers. One is one of the largest in India, and another is one of the largest in the world. Right. So
So would you say it's commercial applications,
all
passenger
right. See,
applications?
we give that intelligence inside,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Okay. It's on highway autopilot. You want to use in passenger vehicle, you want to use in commercial vehicle, you want to use in trucks. It's your
Okay,
wish.
now let's set this in context. So a lot of people say, is it really possible in India?
Yes.
Say it's possible.
It's possible.
So-
I think we have done some.
So
of
they
the-
don't have to worry about cows and monkeys anymore.
No, that's what I said. That is
So the
core
perception
research
of
actually.
India is changing also with
It
the
is.
research. So even the cows and monkeys, we're inclusive of them also. Let's
All-
put it that way.
Even beyond that, right? Someone will like anything can come on roads.
Yes.
In India, environment is also diverse, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have rains to snow, right?
Yeah, and suddenly-
absence of lane markings.
Yes.
Road is broken.
Yes.
So a lot of things can come, and they say, right, why we are the best place to solve this? If you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere in the world.
Got it.
That's why they feel. See, you have tested in India. For these foreign markets are just a play.
Have you filed patents for this?
Yes, we have a granted patent. There are multiple. in
They're
pipeline.
granted?
Yes, one
Indian
is granted.
Indian PTO, right?
Indian, yes.
What about the world side? You
We are
wanna
doing a lot of them are in pipeline. Not just patents, we are also planning to publish a lot of research papers for different technologies which power that. Because what we are building is not just restricted to autonomous driving. It can go in other fields like general robotics and all. So the research we are doing is one of the foundational research in AI. Our product is towards autonomous driving, but yes,
Can
that
go
can be
can it
used
go
in
to
others.
drones?
Eventually, someone else wants to do this. Yes.
Yeah, they can build on top of it. Okay, so you've won customers now globally. I'm so happy. So most of your customers, obviously, you're saying in Silicon Valley also. You're looking at Silicon Valley as a big market for you, or would
Yes.
it be Japan, China?
Yeah, I think there are four. See, our customers are where are the major automakers? I think there are four core belts. So you have this
North American
North
belt.
American belt, right? Two of those players, though they are not in India right now. Right?
They'll
They
come
are-
back. One of them wants to come back.
That would
so
be
yes.
there. There is an entire European Union belt, right? A lot of conglomerates are there. Then you have Korean, Japanese belt, and then there are Indian, right? So thing is that two major, and there are like 8 very major players there.
Okay.
So I think yes, we have to be always. So we are engaging with all these, and eventually we might plan to set up a shop there also.
When you make this announcement, I'd be a massive congratulations from my side, simply because for a startup to go partner with an OEM is very difficult.
Yes, it is.
And if you've done that in 3 years, 3 years is how old your startup is,
Yes.
right? It's kudos to you. And I really wish you the best. Like you said, I hope the North American market, do you think an Indian company can break into the North American market with research like yours?
Yes, I think that's where for us it's built in India for the world. Because a lot of things, in India still you can ask, okay, is the consumer ready and all? There the consumer is already ready. They do not have the technology there. The best you have got is Tesla, and it is far from perfect.
Yeah.
And now
Obviously, they're trying to make it perfect.
Yes.
But yes, it's far from perfect because they're getting there. And that's why they should perhaps partner with people like you.
that's always open.
But I'm sure they are. And is the world of automobile becoming central or modular? In chips also, we talk about chips also. Chips are also central now, even but
think
the chipset's going central, but
See-
then the building of it is going modular, I think.
I think overall in a basically vehicle, the number of moving parts
Yes, that's
have
right.
decreased
Yes,
a little
absolutely.
bit, right? But there were a lot of players who will capturing a major chunk of each. Only thing is, it changed, right? The same way you saw that from let's say Intel to let's say ARM, right? So you saw that in that chip. So I think a new computing architecture, people the most it's like the guys with the most performance per watts will capture a major share. Same way,
comes
OpenAI
down
is
to
a major
compute.
market in LLMs,
Comes
right?
down to compute in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Compute, sensors,
Yes.
vehicle, and all. And obviously, I think there will new players that will also emerge. But it's like if we are able to always keep ahead of the game,
Yeah.
because every technology which is disruptive eventually gets commoditized, and the goal is okay, can I build something even better? So the way Nvidia does it, right? It's always far ahead of the game. While other silicon companies are trying to reach there, they will introduce a new generation of architecture which is like this, okay, 10 times more faster. So it's like I think that's how this thing works. You saw in LLMs, right? Google, no one thought Google was invincible, and then OpenAI helped them have a code red, and they're back on their toes trying to innovate.
It always takes someone to get you on your toes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So you have to be ahead of the game.
So you're one of those companies that are going to make many of them feel that way, and I wish you the best there.
Yes.
My last question to you is this -1 to 0 journey must have had a lot of inspirations.
Yes.
What inspired you? Books, it can be books, movies, it can also be research papers, it can be friends, it can be research professors.
It was always about the impact you want to have, right? See, technologies change, research comes, what is relevant today might not be relevant tomorrow. But then there is a very long-term vision. We are not building a company for next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. We wanted to build something that leaves a legacy that really makes a positive difference in people's life, not at an India scale, but at the world scale, right? I think that vision, same way, right? Imagine if we could give back time to the people, if we could make our roads safer. How many people die in road accidents today in India?
Many.
How much time you waste stuck in traffic, how much stressed people are due to these traffic jams, even in supply chain and all, how much lives are lost. And mobility is one of the pillars that, what is the difference between a developed country and a developing country? A developed country has far more better mobility infra, right? More seamless, more smooth. And that is where we wanted to make a positive impact.
Yeah,
because we see that in
anything,
India,
your data can actually influence the ministries to actually push towards transparency in road building and make sure that the safety aspect improves. And for that, who inspired you to do this? To do these things? Must be a professor or must be you itself? Books or?
Yes, I think a lot of things we do learn in, books and all, in papers, right, in the technologies. But I think there were a few folks who really gave us the guts that, okay, we can also do this, right? Okay, one is...
Would you want to name anybody?
See, Elon Musk has always been an inspiration for everybody who wants to go against a populist narrative and do something very deep tech. I think he was the guy who started a general deep tech consensus. I think a lot of particular Indian space tech ecosystem had really inspired me.
Great.
That's I met this co-founder of Skyroot Aerospace, Pawan Kumar Chandana. So I organized TEDx conference in my school days, and I had invited him. So at that chat, it was like people never thought India would build private space rockets. And okay, people can build it, and then yes, we have that knowledge, we have that acumen to build it. Why not also have that guts to do that in its entirety? So I think all these...
No, you're very humble, and I am inspired by this podcast simply because you could see an Indian company building, autonomous vehicles technology. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gagan.
Likewise.
Thank you.